Welcome to the Horror Friendly Podcast.
It's not over till that bitch is dead.
Let's delve into that a bit deeper.
I'm going to be like the peacekeeper between you two tonight.
Don't fuck with the original.
Yeah, don't fuck with the original.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Horror Friendly Podcast, part of the You Run Podcast Network. My name is Katie, and I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Chantal. Hi, Chantal.
Hi.
So we're going to be doing something a little different for you guys for the next month or so. We've decided to do a little mini-series covering some of the incredible films showcased at the UK Film Festival FrightFest. We're so excited to introduce you to these films and give you a bit of our insight. Thanks so much for listening and enjoy.
Okay, you ready for this one?
So ready?
You are pumped for this one. Okay, so we are now covering Traumatika, directed by Pierre Tsigaridis. From the creators of Two Witches, a blend of elements from the hellbound genre with that of the slasher one to forge a fresh, innovative concept in shock and increase the sensory impact, employing multiple first-person point-of-view shots to immerse the audience in traumatic childhood experiences. The question is, why is little Mikey terrified of his mother? Maybe it's because of the evil inside her. Mikey's night terrors become reality when his mother begins showing signs of demonic possession. What he's about to experience will haunt him for the rest of his life and claim countless lives across generations. So, what did we think about this one?
God, I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I think it was kind of a lot of things in one film. It felt like a combination of so many different subgenres wrapped up in this one film. And on paper, it shouldn't work. And I know that there are some reviews from this film where people have thought it was offensive and that it hasn't worked. And I see their point. But to me, I think that like you've got kind of possession in there, you've got true crime, you've got spooky Halloween vibes, and a lot of obviously dark subjects as well. But for some reason, it just works in this film. I'm sorry, I'm going to ramble, but I will shut up in a minute. I feel like it's kind of one of those films where I think I've said before on the podcast, a film that doesn't give a fuck. And what I mean by that, I don't mean that the directors don't give a fuck. I don't mean that the writers do, producers. I don't mean that. I mean that there isn't really anything off limits. Like Terrifier, for example, that really does push the boundaries and it doesn't give a fuck in that way. The new Texas Chainsaw, look at the way that ended, the gore in it. I feel like it gives off those vibes very much, whilst also tackling with a lot of difficult subjects. Did they deal with the most difficult subjects in the best way possible? Probably not, but I think that there was a lot in there to enjoy. And I just really, really enjoyed this film. Yeah. What about you?
So I know, like, I could totally see what you mean by like there was so much going on. And I think we said this about it's Escape from Dawn Till Dusk, where we said it's basically like two different films kind of stuck together. But I think because this film, like the first half of it is so heavy, I don't think that would have worked if the entire film was like that, because I think the way it's set up, and it's setting you up for more, but I think the way it is set up is heavy, is so intense, and so you need the second half to tell you what the fuck just happened, because of the amount going on in the first half, you haven't got time to kind of your questions are getting answered. Like, you are able to follow along, but as you say, like, there's just so much in there. You need something else. And I think had they done the entire film that way, it would have been just too much. And what the hell are you doing? And as you say, like, you don't like that would have been actually that the director and the writers didn't care. They just wanted to shock. had you just had the second half of the film, I think we would have had like the late night with the devil, where it would have been, again, too much of something else. So I think this was kind of a good combo having both. I will also agree with you though that like some of the heavier topics, like real life topics, I don't know if they were necessary. So again, I don't know if it's necessary that they didn't handle them right. I just don't know if they were necessary, because you also had, you know, demonic curses going on. But I also, we've said it so many times, humans are fucking pieces of shit. Humans are horrible. Demons, well, I'm going to say don't exist. I know there's like, you know, debates about that all the time. But like, we want to believe in this like good versus evil, but actually the evil is normally just humans being the fucking worst versions of themselves. So having that, you know, humans being total pieces of shit and then being demonic or alongside demons is kind of interesting, because it's like, well, actually, you know, who's worse right now? Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting, because I took it as that the possession is a metaphor for child sexual abuse. That I thought that was the point of the film, if I'm completely honest, where there's possession, obviously, but I think it was a whole metaphor for how abuse carries on in generations. That's how I took it. That obviously we had Abigail and then we had other characters, and it kind of carried on that that line of abuse. That's how I took it. But,
interesting.
Yeah,
that is.
yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's true, because I was kind of looking at them as two different things. I do see what you mean though, because it was very much almost like being possessed, something out of her control. But actually, like, yeah, and again, I don't know. It says in the plot about demonic demons and demonic possession. I just double check it. The evil inside her. So it is kind of that, like, or is it Mikey seeing that and actually she isn't possessed? Again, I think there's a lot in that first half, but it does kind of show like people, you know, I try to word it without spoilers.
I think it shows what people are capable of, which is why I think it that's what I took from it, that it was, the possession was just a metaphor for all the abuse that was going on. That's how I took it. But it also does show that, like, a lot of people suck. And
I think that is it. Yeah, when you're not in control of what's happening to your body, like the detrimental effects that has on you is fucking horrific.
Yeah,
much like need to put a trigger warning at the start of this one.
But you're completely right. Not being in control of your body is abuse.
Yeah.
So
straight up.
I think they were. I felt like the writer was marrying those two things together to kind of like emphasize it. What did you think of that? Not the opening, but the opening with Abigail. I found that really fucking scary.
Yeah, that whole, to be fair, like the first half with Abigail was fucking terrifying. And then you kind of see like different like phases of Abigail, and you have a little bit more respect for her, but like she's just fucking terrifying. Like, yeah. And I think at that point as well, again, it's shot quite dark. So I was like trying to put the lightness up. I was like, what the hell is going on? So that would be my one downside, was it was a little bit too dark for me. Annoyingly as well, such a ramble, I was watching it on a day where the sun was out, and I was trying really hard to like block my screen from the sun so I could watch it properly. So that may have been, you know, not their fault. But yeah, and it was kind of a little bit too hard for me to see exactly what was going on, but it was horrific. Which makes the question, why did I want to see more?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was. Well, you're right, actually. You're completely right. The first half of that film is a lot. It's a lot mentally, and just, I feel like it's a complete whirlwind of a film. Like, it just is a constant. And that's kind of why I'm comparing it to Terrifier, because it is just constantly going. And especially that first half, it's a difficult watch, but also so scary in that beginning bit. Like Abigail was terrifying to me. And like I feel like, yeah, it was probably one of the scariest films at Fright Fest that I've seen. And Taisha was up there, but I think this one comes up pretty high on the scariest.
Just really funny, so I wrote down it kind of gives Terrifier vibes as well. And I couldn't quite put my finger on why. I thought it was more to do with the sort of like towards the end, but it might just be because it was horrific. But yeah, I think you almost need that second half to be like,
yes,
just to calm down. Like it still puts you on the edge of your seat at the end, but that first half is so fucked up and so scary. You are just like, I need like to take a break. And actually it kind of the film gives it to you naturally. So it's kind of like, okay, we may be able to finish this. Like,
yeah, it really is a film of two halves. But both are so necessary. And it, like you said at the beginning, like it does just tie everything together really nicely. You do start to think in the second half, you're like, where is this going? Like, how is this in any way like related? How is this all going to come together?
yeah.
It does make you wonder that. But yeah, I mean, it's a ride. This film is a bumpy ride.
But I do think in that second half, there was a couple of bits I was like, bit of a cliche. As you say, like, where's it going? And then they kind of just wrap it up a little bit with a couple of cliches. And then it's like, oh, did you, like, we've seen that before. And one of them typically makes sense. One of them I was like, they've just done that for the sake of it because they can. But yeah, so I was like, yeah, the later bit isn't as shocking and unseen as it was the first half. But I can imagine people watching this first half walking out and never finishing it. And I couldn't even blame them for it. Like, and again, I think when you look at it kind of metaphorically and when you look at it as this is showing us the worst of humanity and the worst of, or demons, which are supposed to be the worst of humanity, it kind of fits, but I can absolutely understand why people don't want to see that in a film.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's always going to be, as soon as you put that in a film, that film's controversial. And that's just going to always be fact because, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I think the subject of the dark subjects and the abuse is a really difficult thing to incorporate into a film and to do it with class and sort of dignity. I understand that. But I do, as I was watching it, I kind of understood that the possession and how it kind of falls to different people. I did understand the link between both of them.
No, it is really hard to, like you say, when it goes down generation, it's really hard to break that chain. So, but do we have a wow moment of this film?
Moment. Oh my god, so many.
Why is it mine are always spoilers? Like I'm gonna have to think of something else.
Wow moment. I think I feel like I'm repeating myself tonight, like just with same old stuff. But I'm gonna say the first scene with Abigail. I think that little snippet of the scene, which I think you know what I mean, or whoever's watched this knows what I mean. It was just so scary, and as you say, Tel, very dark. I felt in a good way because it was just like, what the fuck am I like watching? What am I supposed to be looking out for? I felt like the noises that just, I mean, I think Rebecca Kennedy was fucking incredible, and she was so scary to me. So I think that whole scene with Abigail at the beginning was probably mine. Yeah, what about you?
I might have to jump on that with you, because my one is later in the film, but I can't say it because it's a massive spoiler. So I'm going to jump on the same scene as you, but from the acting was fucking incredible. But to the makeup, as you say, I think, don't be wrong, her acting really played into it, but part of the reason she looked so fucking scary was the makeup. And again, like the use of the shadow and the light, and yeah, how they just made her look so fucked up was fucking brilliant. And I'm not sure of the young actor's name, the little boy in it, but his reaction, like, he was brilliant. Like, I hope he got lots of cuddles after this, because filming that must have been really difficult and really scary. So I think he did amazing though. But yeah, that's a really powerful scene. Let's go powerful. Let's go with that word.
Let's go powerful. Yeah, I know which scene you mean. I know what you mean.
Sorry, my nose is really itchy tonight. I'm like a dog nose scratcher. What are you gonna give this out of 5?
I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 spookies. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really scary. And like I said at the beginning, I think that all of these kind of little subjects and subgenres all kind of put together shouldn't work, but it did. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I definitely watch it again. Again, I think it could be like a Halloween film as well, like a way more kind of fucking tense. But maybe not so much pizza party, but maybe more like
you and me.
yeah. What about you?
I'm gonna give it a 3 because I did, as we said, like I did enjoy it, but I don't think I'll rush back to this. I think again, sometimes those controversial topics are harder to they're harder to justify, they're harder to sit through, and they're harder to like want to watch a film with that in. I also think, as I said, like towards the second half when it like hits some cliches, I just think again, like we've seen that before, so I'd have liked like maybe a little bit of different originality there, but not to say that it didn't do really well. And it must get really hard now with storytelling to have something that's completely original, so I won't be too harsh on them for it, but it still was a really good film to give that. But well, that leads us nicely on to, you did just say, who would you invite round, or who would you recommend this to watch with?
You.
Really fucked up horror fans is who we're recommending this to.
Well, I mean, I guess the kind of films I was referring to, like Texas Chainsaw, Terrifier. I think again, it's really difficult because there's a lot of different subgenres that are in this film, so I think lots of people would enjoy it. But at the same time, I also have to recognize that there are very difficult subjects in there which people may not want to watch, which is more than fair enough. And they may not, find it may just be offensive to them, and that's completely understandable. So I also have to take that into account. But I'm just going to say, people that are fans of maybe more shock horror, I would go with that. I think maybe more, I don't want to say extreme horror, but kind of on that level. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I'd say the same, sort of like heavier horror fans. But also, heavier horror fans who are having a good day. As you say, like, don't watch. Yes. You actually text me. You were like, just there's some heavy topics. I was like, thank you for the heads up, because it is that if you're having a bad day, maybe not the one.
Maybe not.
But if you want to be genuinely scared and it's Halloween, fuck it, go for it.
Yeah, heavier horror fans is a really good shout. I think, like, if you're kind of new to horror, avoid.
Yeah. But as the same with all these films, if they have a film Instagram, we will tag it. If it's the director's Instagram, we will tag that as well, so that you can see as much information about these films as you can, and you can see their release dates. We've also been tagging some of the actors, makeup artists. I tagged in a couple of them just to see how many people we can get involved, because we've generally been enjoying these films and we want to share our love for them. So check out again next week. We'll have a few more films for you to learn about, and we've also got, I think, like 15 videos out now. There's going to be something in there that is going to be your film you're going to love, probably more than one. So check them out and see what you're going to be watching this Halloween, if it's out by then.
Well, we're nearly finished with the series.
We're getting there.
So yeah, no, you guys make sure you watch them and listen. You won't regret it, I promise.
Bye.
Bye, guys.